Well, good afternoon. It's Monday afternoon, March 23rd. I wanted to offer you a bit of good news this afternoon as we continue to watch the news and be inundated by bad news. I wanted to offer you a word of hope and a word of encouragement from God's word. So I wanted to take us to Psalm 16, starting in verse 8. Psalm 16 and verse 8. If you want to pause the video and be able to find that in your copy of God's word, that would be wonderful. If not, I'm going to read it and then I'm going to comment on it. We're not going to be more than 3 minutes, just a piece of good news and encouragement as we continue to walk through this coronavirus pandemic and quarantine self-distancing. Psalm 16 verse 8 says, I know the Lord is always with me. I will not be shaken, for he is right beside me. Let me read that again. I know the Lord is with me. I will not be shaken, for he is right beside me. Psalm 16:8. A couple things I want to point out and then have a question to be able to drive this home as a way of application to cement this good news in our life. The first thing is that this is a psalm of confidence. David is writing and he is confident that the Lord is with him. He moves in verse 1 from a request, and then verse 6 he makes a commitment, and then he ends this Psalm 16 in a word of praise to God in verse 11. A couple things I want to point out specifically about this verse. Again, it says Psalm 16:8, I know the Lord is with me. I will not be shaken, for he is right beside me. First of all, there is a relationship between David and God. David was known as a man after God's own heart. He was not perfect in any sense of the mean. Someday, I'd love to do a study on the life of David, but he had a checkered past, but yet he was still able to have that relationship with God. God was not someone distant. It was not someone that wasn't existent. God was right there beside him because of David's relationship with God. Second of all, David's trust is not shaken because he knows God. It's that personal relationship. God is the maker of heaven and earth. And one thing that's been happening is there's been a lot of questions, a lot of chaos, a lot more questions than answers. But David says, I will not be shaken because the maker of heaven and earth is right beside me. He has that personal relationship. Because he has that personal relationship, he has the confidence to know that God is in control, even in a situation that seems out of control. The third thing is I want us to think about is just imagine the confidence that this gave David as he walked through life knowing that God, whom he had this relationship with, was the maker of heaven and earth, and that he does not need to be afraid. He does not need to be shaken because God is right there beside him. Because of this, because of his relationship with God, because of his confidence in God, because he has this knowledge that God is beside him, David trusts in God and has joy and he has strength because he does not have to be shaken. And so as we go through these times of questions, of concern, there's time and place for that, there is, but I just want to bring us back to this Psalm 16 verse 8. I know the Lord is with me. I will not be shaken, for he is right beside me. A question that we can end our time with is God beside you during this time of uncertainty? Are you able to say with David, I know that God is with me. I know that I will not be shaken because he is right beside me. A great question for you to ask yourself. If you have questions or concerns, you can reach out to me through Facebook. You can call me at the church. You can reach out through our website. Love to walk with you during this time of uncertainty and help you to be able to have the strength and confidence that you can have just like David did.